We have some breaking news. According to multiple reports, Quentin Grimes is reportedly frustrated with his role on the New York Knicks. And when he spoke to the media, he basically stated that he has a problem not touching the ball for a long period of time. And when he shoots the ball and he misses, he feels like he might be pulled from the game. We're going to break down the report, let you know exactly what he said, and if this could potentially mean that Quentin Grimes could be on the move in a potential trade. All of this and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Quentin Grimes is reportedly frustrated with his role on the New York Knicks. Now, does this sound familiar? Because it feels like a few days ago, I did a similar video about this. The only difference was Josh Hart was the player instead of Quentin Grimes. And even at the time, even in that video, I mentioned that I felt that Josh Hart was speaking out for more than himself. I felt like at the time he was speaking out for Quentin Grimes as well too, because a lot of what he was saying felt like it was coming from Quentin Grimes, because you could apply the same words he was saying to Quentin Grimes' situation and it would make sense. And lo and behold, just a few days later, after Quentin Grimes continues to struggle offensively with the Knicks, he was asked about the offensive struggles and why he was having issues with the Knicks. And he did not hold back, and he gave a blunt and direct response on why he's struggling this year with the New York Knicks. Shout out to Steve Popper of Newsday for reporting the following. Quentin Grimes stated, "It feels like if I don't hit the shot, I'm coming out. So every shot I shoot probably weighs like 100 pounds if I don't make it. And our defense, it ain't cutting it. So I know I ain't going back in. So I gotta just keep shooting, keep staying in the gym, keep putting in reps, and I know it'll all work itself out." How it works itself out is hard to say, according to Steve Popper. He states that Grimes became a full-time starter last season and averaged 11.3 points on 46.8% shooting. This season, it's down to 6.2 points and 36.3% shooting, with almost all of his attempts coming on catch-and-shoot three-pointers. When he gets a rare touch, it feels as if it is make it or sit, with Donte DiVincenzo taking much of the playing time he got last season. Grimes continued by stating the following: "It's just hard when you go the whole quarter without touching the ball, the whole second quarter without touching the ball, and then you get one shot and you gotta make it. So it's tough going out there and just standing in the corner the whole game. Then you gotta make the shot when you shoot the ball 1 or 2 times per game. It is what it is. We'll see." Shout out to Newsday's Steve Popper for giving us this massive update about Quentin Grimes and how he feels about his role on offense with the New York Knicks. As I said at the top of the video, these exact comments sound very eerily similar to what Josh Hart said, to what Obi Toppin said. Is this a trend? Because it feels like players playing for Tom Thibodeau have to sacrifice their game in order to fit in Tom Thibodeau's rotation and system, in order to get playing time and make a difference, make an impact on this Knicks team. Because if you don't play the way Tom Thibodeau wants you to play, it seems like you're going to be taken out and forced to sit. And that's exactly what Quentin Grimes stated. Quentin Grimes stated he feels like he can't touch the ball each and every quarter. Maybe sometimes he goes quarters without touching the ball. And then when he does, he is asked to hit that shot consistently, and he's not in rhythm. He's not hot, and he has no offensive firepower to go off of and no confidence to go off of. So Tom Thibodeau asking him to do that is extremely hard. He even states he feels like it's hard. He feels like it's a lot of pressure. He feels like the ball weighs 100 pounds. Imagine having to shoot the ball when you already have an issue offensively, and then you feel like the ball weighs 100 pounds. It's going to affect your game even more. And that's going to affect his confidence. Imagine last year you were playing time and time again after again after again. And then now you get pulled in favor of somebody else, and you're watching that other person in Donte DiVincenzo get time, make mistakes, stay on the court, be impactful, make the 3 balls when it counts. You see that and you think to yourself, is my role going to be in jeopardy? Am I thinking to myself, maybe am I going to lose my starting role, my starting position? And given what Quentin Grimes stated here, it's hard to argue with him. He basically states here clearly, it's tough to go out there and just stand in the corner the entire game. And I absolutely agree with him. I've said in a number of shows that the reason I want Quentin Grimes to go on the bench, the reason I think he will thrive off the bench, is because the starters aren't in the game. And I feel like the reason he's being held back is because he has to allow the starters to do what he needs to do. That means Quentin Grimes, who is a great playmaker, a great facilitator, can't do that. He's a great cutter. He can't do that. He can run the floor very well. He can go coast to coast with the ball. He can't do that. Why? Because he's being asked to stretch the floor when he's being asked to stand in the corner and only take three-point shots. And not even that. When he catches the ball, he has so little confidence in his game now that he's passing the ball back or passing it to somebody else because he knows if he shoots the ball and he misses it, he's going right back to the bench and Donte DiVincenzo's coming in. This seems very similar to the Obi Toppin situation from last year because if you remember, Obi Toppin had minutes the year previously and then started losing minutes more and more and more to the point where he was not even a factor in my thoughts for the New York Knicks because he wasn't being played as a factor, playing only 10 to 12 minutes behind Julius Randle. And now we have Donte DiVincenzo in the mix, and he's clearly here to take Quentin Grimes' role and his minutes because that's exactly what's been happening. Over the last few games, as you can clearly see here, Quentin Grimes has not closed games. He's been on the bench. Donte DiVincenzo has closed games. He's been with the New York Knicks team during the closing minutes. But not only that, Donte DiVincenzo has had an impact, clearly by the numbers, by the plus minus, by the minutes played. Quentin Grimes is not only not having an impact, but he's seeing his minutes and production go down at an alarming rate. And if Quentin Grimes continues to play like this, all of the reports about him potentially being traded will not be reports anymore. They'll be true because the Knicks will absolutely have to make a move happen in order to trade Quentin Grimes to get another piece on this team that can help them move forward in the Eastern Conference. Because you can make the argument right now, if Quentin Grimes continues to play like this for the Knicks, he'll make the Knicks go backwards because he's not offering anything the Knicks need besides hellacious, great defense. And while that is absolutely needed, and it's great that he can do that, and it's great that he can guard the other team's best player, we need more on offense. If he's just going to be a good defender, but he's not going to do anything on offense, then we might as well call him Mini Mitch because that's essentially what he's doing out there. And we can't have two Mitchell Robinsons out there. The Knicks cannot afford to do that. We need to be able to space the floor. And if Quentin Grimes is going to be out there to shoot the ball, miss shots, and not space the floor, then in my opinion, I don't know what he's doing out there. And if Tom Thibodeau is not even comfortable utilizing him in the starting unit, then bench him for Donte DiVincenzo and let both the starting unit and the bench unit both thrive by making this change. If you don't make this change, I am very fearful on how the New York Knicks are going to look moving forward. When Tom Thibodeau was asked about maintaining this roster or potentially considering a lineup change, he said the following: I look at how the unit is functioning. And so I would say tonight we didn't play well, and to put it on Quentin is not fair. I don't think we really had anyone who played really well. So we're capable of a lot better. You win together, you lose together. Just focus on the improvement and getting ready for the next game. So per Tom Thibodeau, he does not believe that Quentin Grimes is the sole issue on the New York Knicks team and why they lost the game. And in that regard, in that respect, I absolutely say he's right. I agree with him. Quentin Grimes is not the only reason the New York Knicks lost this game. It was a lot of factors. But it still boils back down to coaching. The way Quentin Grimes feels goes back to coaching. Not only coaching, because I will say this. Quentin Grimes and his performance is half to do with Quentin Grimes and how he's playing in his own confidence. And the other half has to do with Tom Thibodeau and his coaching staff. And that goes for every single frustrated player that's been on the New York Knicks under Tom Thibodeau. Obi Toppin, Josh Hart, and now Quentin Grimes. All have been frustrated with their role on offense under Tom Thibodeau. Josh Hart seemingly has made it work because he's been a lot better over the last few games. Quentin Grimes can't say the same. Obi Toppin definitely couldn't say the same. Now he's with Indiana. But should we be looking at Tom Thibodeau, the coach, as the real issue here. Because again, this is not the first time a player has spoken out about Tom Thibodeau, his offensive system, and the way they're being used. And at some point, do we need to stop looking at the players and start looking at the coach? I know how good of a coach Tom Thibodeau has been for this Knicks organization since he's come here. I get what he's done with this Knicks team and getting us to the playoffs. However, we always have to bank success based off of what you've done lately. What you did last year, what you're doing now, and what the issues were last year, and if they are still repeating themselves this year. Will Tom Thibodeau get fired? I don't really think so. However, will Quentin Grimes get traded? For the last few days, maybe going back the last few weeks, we've seen reports come out indicating that Grimes has been linked to a number of other stars that the Knicks could potentially go after and trade for if they included Quentin Grimes in the deal. So I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but maybe closer to the trade deadline, you might see it happen where Quentin Grimes is traded for another piece for this team in order to help the Knicks get better in this Eastern Conference. He is absolutely putting his name in those trade reports by making comments like this and also by having the performances that he's been having. He also mentioned why he thinks he's having less touches and less playing time this year than last year. Shout out to the New York Post Stefan Bondi for giving us the following information. I just know that last year, RJ missed a lot of games. Jalen missed some games. So I had the ball in my hands a little bit more. I knew I wasn't coming out. I knew I was going to be in there and get more shots. Played the whole first quarter, the whole third quarter. I knew I had opportunities to get the ball and get my shots up. Now, it's just a matter of if the ball comes my way, really. And both Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson actually spoke about this in regards to Quentin Grimes and his usage. Randle stated about Grimes, he has a hard job, a tough role. We have to do a better job of trying to get him better looks. Brunson stated he's going to get the ball, so sometimes when the confidence is low, it seems like the end of the world. As teammates, we need to pick him up. Very good points mentioned here by Quentin Grimes. The things that he said about Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and RJ Barrett, absolutely true. When they missed time, his time increased. His usage increased. The amount of shots he got increased. So clearly his role was way more impactful last year than it was this year. Fast forward to this year, his usage is down, his impact is down, and he doesn't feel like he's catching the ball a lot. Jalen Brunson did state that he is getting the ball. He is getting the ball passed to him. But when you're missing shots, according to Jalen Brunson, it always feels like it's the end of the world. So maybe that's what Quentin Grimes feels like right now. But to Julius Randle's point, he has a hard job, and the Knicks as a unit, as a team, have to do a better job of getting him involved. And right there, absolutely agree with that. The Knicks absolutely have to do a better job of getting Quentin Grimes involved in the offense each and every time. So that way defenses can take him seriously, take him as a lethal threat from the corners or wherever he is, and then collapse on him to make the game easier for everybody else in the game. If they don't take Quentin Grimes seriously to do that, then him being in the game doesn't have any impact. It does nothing for the Knicks. And we don't want to have Quentin Grimes be in the game and that be his role because it doesn't help anybody. And clearly, it makes Quentin Grimes frustrated. So it helps nobody, not even the organization. This is a very tricky situation to deal with right now because we just heard Josh Hart say this. Now we're seeing Quentin Grimes say this. We remember Obi Toppin saying this. We remember Cam Reddish saying this. We saw Evan Fournier say this. There are a number of players on this list questioning Tom Thibodeau, questioning his practices in terms of what he's doing with the talent, and also how players are being utilized. But in my opinion, how I think this situation is going to happen and resolve itself is that Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, some other picks and players are likely going to be utilized in a trade to get Quentin Grimes to another destination where he can thrive, have more an opportunity, and the Knicks get backup player that they can use to push this team to a better place in the Eastern Conference, to perhaps be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. Who that player is and when that trade is going to happen, I don't know. But given everything that we're seeing unfold over the last few days, it is absolutely clear that the Knicks need to make a move. And given these comments from Quentin Grimes, it looks like he might be the piece in order for the Knicks to utilize to get that piece that they need to help upgrade the roster on this Knicks team. But what about you guys? What do you think about this breaking news major report here about Quentin Grimes not liking his role with the New York Knicks? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.